What just happened in the cruiser world isn't a model refresh, it's a full-blown takeover. Honda didn't make noise, they made history. While Harley and Indian scramble to respond, Honda just changed the rules, and the price tag is only the beginning. So what did Honda really do? Watch till the end to find out why it threatened the entire industry. Honda didn't just launch a bike, they declared war. What if everything you thought was solid in the cruiser world just collapsed? That's exactly what happened the moment Honda unveiled the Rebel 1100. It wasn't announced with fireworks, celebrity endorsements, or a flashy reveal event. No drama, no chrome-drenched bravado. Just one bike, one price tag, and a silent message to every other manufacturer in the game. The rules have changed. In an industry long dominated by image and tradition, Honda did the unthinkable. They launched a full-size cruiser with real power and modern engineering for less than $10,000. For years, Harley-Davidson and Indian ruled this space, not just with products, but with mythology. Their bikes weren't just machines, they were lifestyle statements priced accordingly. Riders paid a premium not just for horsepower or torque, but for a name, a sound, a feeling. Honda cut straight through that mystique. With the Rebel 1100, they brought performance and accessibility together in a way that neither Harley nor Indian had dared attempt. While legacy brands hiked prices to maintain exclusivity, Honda opened the gate to an entirely new generation of cruiser buyers. The most astonishing part? They didn't do it loudly. No teasing campaigns, no rugged imagery, no promises of brotherhood, just one precise strike. The launch landed like a silent torpedo because it wasn't about competing on Harley's terms. Honda wasn't joining a fight. They were ending it before the others even noticed. But this wasn't about competing, it was a tactical ambush. Want to stay ahead of the curve in the cruiser market? Like, subscribe, and comment below to let us know your thoughts on Honda's game-changing move and how it's shaking up the industry. The masterstroke that changed everything. This wasn't just bold, it was surgical. Honda's decision to price the Rebel 1100 under $10,000 wasn't a marketing stunt. It was the result of a deeply calculated plan to realign the entire cruiser market. Behind that low price sits one of Honda's most intelligent engineering plays to date. At its heart, the bike borrows heavily from the proven Africa Twin platform, including its parallel twin engine. Instead of investing in entirely new systems, Honda reused a reliable, fuel-efficient powertrain that's already loved by long-distance adventure riders across the world. This isn't a watered-down machine. The Rebel's engine delivers usable torque-smooth acceleration and highway capability that surprises even seasoned cruiser veterans. But the innovation doesn't stop there. Honda also integrated its dual-clutch transmission, a technology that allows for automatic shifting while retaining the feel of manual control. For new riders or returning ones in their 50s and 60s, this technology removes one of the steepest learning curves while preserving the raw connection to the road. You can ride it easy, or you can push it hard. The system adapts. It's the kind of feature usually reserved for bikes twice the price. More importantly, the rest of the bike is built with Honda's signature philosophy. Every piece must earn its place. There's no excess, no bloated features added just to impress on paper. The frame is minimal and clean. The electronics are functional without being overwhelming. The riding ergonomics feel natural whether you're 5'6" or 6'2". All of this was made possible because Honda applied a lean manufacturing mindset to a segment that had gotten lazy and bloated. And Honda's efficiency wasn't the full story, it was the opening shot. All the rider gear mentioned here is linked in the description. Tested, proven, and priced for real-world budgets. Royal Enfield's Silent Siege. This brand didn't compete, they escaped the game entirely. Royal Enfield has spent the last decade doing something few brands had the patience for, building motorcycles for riders who simply want to ride, not to show off, not to prove a point, not to join a club. The Meteor 350 and the Interceptor 650 are motorcycles that echo a universal idea. Motorcycling doesn't need to be complicated or expensive to be meaningful, and in doing so, Royal Enfield quietly built a movement. In places like Southeast Asia, India, and Latin America, their rise has been remarkable. These bikes aren't about chrome or brute power. They're about simplicity, ease of use, and emotional clarity. They have enough power to enjoy the road, enough comfort to ride all day, and enough reliability to ride every week. There's no intimidation factor, no steep financial entry point, and no learning curve that requires advanced riding technique. For many new riders, Royal Enfield is the first step into motorcycling, and they often never leave. What makes Royal Enfield's success so interesting is that they achieved it by walking away from the premium trap. While Harley raised prices and Indian scaled up their models, Royal Enfield kept it small, accessible, and honest. Riders who might have once dreamed of a Harley find something more real in the Enfield experience. And in the United States, that same trend is starting to show. Younger buyers are walking into showrooms, skipping over the high-dollar cruisers, and rolling out on bikes that cost less than half as much but offer just as much joy. Meanwhile, two forgotten giants were waking up and ready to rejoin the fight. Yamaha and Kawasaki wake up. They weren't trying to outshine Honda, they were reclaiming relevance. For years, Yamaha and Kawasaki sat quietly in the shadows of Harley-Davidson, Indian, and even Honda in the cruiser market. They weren't making headlines or launching bold marketing campaigns, but while other brands chased legacy, image, or outright reinvention, Yamaha and Kawasaki stayed focused on one thing: delivering reliable, honest motorcycles that work. And now, their patience is paying off. The Yamaha Bolt and Kawasaki Vulcan S are proof that performance and practicality don't need chrome or theatrics to shine. These bikes are affordable, lightweight, fuel-efficient, and surprisingly capable. The Vulcan S, with its comfortable ergonomics and approachable design, has become a favorite among riders who want a cruiser that's easy to ride but doesn't sacrifice style. The Bolt, on the other hand, delivers classic looks with modern dependability without the bulk or premium tag that typically accompanies American-style cruisers. Both brands have managed to do something few others can. They've made cruisers feel modern again without rewriting the playbook. By prioritizing rider comfort, ease of maintenance, and reliability, Yamaha and Kawasaki have earned the trust of a generation that sees motorcycles as tools, not trophies. These bikes don't scream for attention. They don't come with leather tassels or decades of branded heritage. They simply work, and in today's economy, that might be the most powerful feature of all. This resurgence isn't flashy, but it's real. And it's coming at a time when motorcycle buyers are looking harder at value than ever before. Yamaha and Kawasaki didn't rush to compete, they waited for the market to shift toward them, and now riders are shifting with it. But while Japan focused on design, Honda was building something much more powerful. Honda's global network is a weapon. Most brands build bikes. Honda builds ecosystems. While competitors were busy designing flagships and slashing prices to stay relevant, Honda was quietly strengthening the global infrastructure that would allow it to dominate long-term. Their manufacturing footprint stretches across Southeast Asia, Mexico, South America, and Europe, each site feeding into a larger strategy that balances cost, agility, and access to key markets. This global network gives Honda a kind of production power that no other motorcycle manufacturer can match. They're not dependent on a single factory or even a single continent. Their facilities in Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia serve as high-volume hubs for Asian markets, while plants in Mexico and Brazil handle North and South American demand. In each region, Honda tailors its strategy to local logistics, trade rules, and labor conditions, ensuring they can produce at scale without being trapped by regional volatility. The effect of this is enormous. While brands like Harley-Davidson struggle with centralized manufacturing and rising domestic labor costs, Honda can shift production at will to the most efficient and stable location. This isn't just about saving money, it's about staying operational when others are forced to pause. Tariffs, port delays, material shortages, or political upheavals in one country don't slow Honda down. They route around it. That's how you build resilience. Even more strategically, Honda's global system allows it to avoid the hidden costs that cripple its competitors, costs related to shipping, warehousing, and fluctuating currencies. By producing close to end markets, Honda minimizes those risks. While other companies see disruption as a crisis, Honda treats it like a rerouting problem. This ecosystem mindset is rare in the motorcycle industry. Most brands are still thinking like builders. Honda, on the other hand, is acting like a logistics empire with engines. And when the trade war hit, Honda didn't flinch. Others buckled. The tariff-proof motorcycle empire. When steel prices soared, Harley paid. Honda pivoted. That moment marked a dividing line in the industry. While American manufacturers were caught off guard by rising material costs, shifting import rules, and the chaos of tariff retaliation, Honda's global supply strategy absorbed the impact and kept going. It wasn't luck. It was by design. Back in 2018, when tariffs on imported steel and aluminum hit American manufacturing hard, Harley-Davidson found itself cornered. Production costs rose overnight. Shipping expenses followed. Domestic factories could not adjust quickly enough, and suddenly Harley was moving some of its European-bound production overseas, not for expansion, but for survival. It was a public embarrassment, and it exposed just how fragile Harley's US-centric model really was. Honda, meanwhile, didn't make a sound. They simply rerouted components and materials through alternate supply chains in Thailand, India, and Mexico. Where Harley had to make political statements and suffer public scrutiny, Honda adjusted quietly, kept its costs stable, and protected its margins. This is the power of geographic diversification, not just for supply lines, but for political insulation. Honda's ability to operate in low-risk environments across multiple continents gave it the one thing most legacy manufacturers lack: freedom from reactive decision-making. Their engine components, battery modules, electronics, and even final assembly could all be shifted without sacrificing quality. And because their network is already optimized for cost efficiency, they weren't just staying afloat, they were staying competitive. Harley and Indian, rooted in American soil, had no such escape hatch. Their cost climbed, their models were delayed, and their pricing strategies faltered. Honda had already beaten them on design and pricing. Now it was winning on logistics too, but tariffs weren't the only storm. Consumer behavior was changing too. Legacy brands are cracking under pressure. Nostalgia used to sell bikes. Now it's dragging brands under. Harley-Davidson and Indian, once seen as untouchable icons of the cruiser world, are facing a new kind of existential threat, not from one rival, but from a complete shift in consumer expectations. And the worst part? They're still doubling down on the wrong playbook. Harley's recent launch of the Nightster was supposed to be their answer to growing pressure from Honda and other budget-friendly competitors. But while the bike was marketed as affordable, the reality told a different story. Behind the lower base price were ballooning add-ons, higher service costs, and the same outdated branding. Riders looked at it and saw a polished version of yesterday, not a vision for tomorrow. The truth is, Harley's entire business model has been built around premium pricing, limited edition models, and a culture of exclusivity. That worked in the 2010s. It doesn't work now. Younger riders don't want to pay $15,000 for the idea of rebellion. They want practicality, ease of use, and value. And they're finding it in brands like Honda, Yamaha, and Royal Enfield. Indian is facing the same identity crisis. Once positioned as Harley's most serious threat, Indian initially found success by offering more approachable cruisers with modern engineering. But in recent years, they've drifted upward in price and lost sight of their original advantage. Models like the Chief and Scout have become increasingly expensive, squeezing out the very audience that built their momentum. Both brands are now stuck in a paradox. They need younger riders to survive, but everything about their pricing, marketing, and design language appeals to a shrinking older audience. It's not just that their bikes are expensive, it's that they feel disconnected. Riders aren't looking for status. They're looking for relevance. And the buyers they ignored, they were rewriting the rule. The rebellion against chrome and cost. They're not buying rebellion, they're buying reason. For decades, cruisers represented something more than machines. They were rolling symbols of rebellion, chrome-drenched declarations of identity. Harley-Davidson mastered this image, selling not just motorcycles, but a lifestyle built around loud pipes, leather jackets, and the idea of American freedom on two wheels. But today's riders, they're not buying into that myth anymore. The younger generation doesn't want to be part of a legacy. They want something that works, that makes sense, and that doesn't drain their savings account before they even hit the ignition. What's shifting is not just preference, it's an economic reckoning. Maintenance costs for traditional cruisers are soaring. Many models require frequent dealer servicing, premium fuel, and brand-specific parts that come with bloated price tags. Insurance premiums for these larger legacy bikes remain high, especially for younger or first-time riders. When you factor in rising living costs, stagnating wages, and the financial pressures many adults now face, dropping $15,000 to $20,000 on a cruiser that guzzles gas and demands constant upkeep just isn't appealing. This isn't about disrespecting tradition, it's about rejecting waste. Riders today want value, they want efficiency, they want performance without posturing, and above all, they want a machine that's as practical on the weekday commute as it is thrilling on the weekend ride. The chrome-heavy lifestyle branding of the past feels increasingly out of touch with those expectations. Honda's true advantage wasn't found on the bike, it was behind the badge. They built trust. Not just bikes. Harley sells attitude. Honda sells peace of mind. That distinction is what's winning over a new generation of riders. While some brands lean on emotional legacy, Honda quietly built something much more powerful, a reputation. And in a world where buying the wrong machine can mean years of financial regret, that trust is priceless. Honda motorcycles are known for lasting tens of thousands of miles with minimal issues. Mechanics trust them. DIY riders appreciate how serviceable they are. When parts are needed, they're widely available and reasonably priced. While Harley-Davidson owners often deal with proprietary tools and dealership-only service environments, Honda riders can choose where and how they maintain their bikes without fear of voiding a warranty or paying a premium. But trust goes beyond repairs. Honda's resale value remains consistently strong. Buyers know that if they want to trade up or sell later, they won't lose their shirts. This is especially important in today's market where uncertainty about long-term ownership costs keeps many would-be buyers on the fence. Honda has answered that hesitation not with marketing, but with decades of reliability and fair pricing. The result? Riders buy Hondas not just because they love riding, but because they can count on it. They know the machine won't surprise them with sudden problems, impossible costs, or dealership runarounds. That confidence is something no flashy brand campaign can replicate. And as word spreads among riders, forums, and service shops, that reputation only grows stronger. As the world changed, so did the core economics of the motorcycle industry. The motorcycle market is rebalancing. For decades, the cruiser market operated on a simple formula: build big bikes, slap on chrome, charge a premium, and rely on brand legacy to do the rest. But that formula is now collapsing under the weight of consumer fatigue, rising inflation, and shifting cultural priorities. Honda's Rebel 1100 didn't just enter the market with a better price, it exposed how bloated the pricing structure had become. A full-size, high-performance cruiser priced under $10,000? That wasn't a product release, it was a market correction. Consumers are no longer fooled by loud branding and expensive extras. They want real value. Honda's decision to prioritize function over image has pulled the rug out from under the premium cruiser segment, and the data reflects this shift. Sales of large displacement motorcycles have been steadily declining across North America and parts of Europe. Meanwhile, midsize and entry-level cruisers have seen a noticeable rise. Riders are asking different questions now. Not how loud is it, but how long will it last? How much does it cost to maintain? And does this fit my lifestyle? Even younger riders, traditionally seen as the most brand-sensitive demographic, are now rejecting legacy for practicality. This rebalancing isn't driven by fads, it's driven by necessity. Insurance premiums are rising. Fuel costs remain unstable. Urban living is pushing riders toward lighter, more maneuverable machines. The 1,200-pound, $15,000 chrome dinosaurs are struggling to stay relevant. And yet some manufacturers continue to double down on old strategies. Premium pricing, nostalgic design cues, and marketing campaigns aimed at a fading generation. It's not just out of touch, it's dangerous, because the brands still clinging to the old ways, they may not survive the decade. But as Honda cements its place at the center of this rebalancing, a deeper question emerges. Who is positioned to win the future of motorcycling? Who wins the next 10 years? The battle for the next decade in motorcycling will not be fought over aesthetics or sound, it will be decided by adaptability. Honda has already proven it understands the assignment. By pricing the Rebel 1100 under $10,000 and equipping it with modern technology like a dual-clutch transmission, Honda didn't just release a product, they made a strategic move toward long-term relevance. While other brands attempt to recover from declining sales with glossier finishes and more premium add-ons, Honda has leaned into practicality, efficiency, and global scale. Yamaha and Kawasaki are also quietly gaining traction, offering value-focused cruisers like the Vulcan S and Bolt that speak to real-world riders. These brands are not relying on heritage, they're building bikes that match today's use cases. Meanwhile, Harley-Davidson and Indian seem locked in an arms race of nostalgia and pride. pricing. They've introduced entry-level models, yes, but often without the pricing power or production scale to truly compete with Honda's global footprint. The Nightster is lighter, slightly cheaper, and more modern, but it's still overburdened by a legacy infrastructure that inflates its cost. The brands that will thrive are those that can read the room. Riders today don't want to be part of an exclusive club. They want motorcycles that work for their commute, their weekend trip, or their budget. They want flexible ergonomics, low maintenance, high reliability, and smart design. And they're not willing to pay a luxury tax for a badge. Honda delivers on these fronts because it has engineered its business model around long-term user value, not just short-term image. Yet even Honda has one critical battlefield it has yet to dominate. Support infrastructure. The bikes may be affordable, the technology may be streamlined, but is the world ready to support these machines in real-world conditions? Think Honda's new Rebel 1100 has what it takes to win the future? Like, subscribe, and comment below to share your predictions on what's next for the cruiser market. The Infrastructure Catchup. For all the praise Honda deserves for redefining the modern cruiser, it now faces a massive logistical challenge: scaling the infrastructure that supports its new customer base. Riders can buy a Rebel 1100 for less than $10,000, but then what? In many parts of the United States and Canada, access to affordable maintenance, parts availability, and skilled service is still skewed in favor of legacy brands. Harley-Davidson's dealership network may be aging, but it remains extensive. Independent garages know their models. Service is built into the culture. Honda's challenge is different. It must now build that cultural infrastructure from scratch for a new generation of riders. Urban riders face a different kind of barrier. Many new buyers live in apartments or shared housing where secure parking, let alone maintenance access, is limited. This is where Honda's global experience could be a major advantage. In Southeast Asia, the company has already built networks of mobile technicians, parts delivery systems, and third-party service centers to accommodate this exact lifestyle. But translating that into North American cities will require partnerships, community engagement, and perhaps even retail transformation. And then there's the training gap. Honda's DCT models lower the intimidation factor for new riders, but dealerships and riding schools still cater to traditional clutch and gear learning. Rider education must evolve alongside product design. That means new curriculum, updated certification standards, and a redefinition of what entry-level riding looks like. Honda is winning on the product front, but it will need to win on the ecosystem front too, because even the most affordable, well-built bike is only as good as the system that keeps it running. But just when competitors think they've found Honda's blind spot, there's one more move the company might be preparing, and it could finish the fight altogether. Honda's next strike could finish the job. The Rebel 1100 was only the beginning. What happens next could upend the cruiser market for good. Imagine a 500 to 750 cubic centimeter cruiser priced under $8,000, built with the same lean efficiency as the 1100, but tailored for new riders, city commuters, and global export. That's not a prediction. That's a possibility Honda has the resources to execute. And then there's electrification. While most manufacturers are still testing the waters with futuristic prototypes and luxury-priced e-bikes, Honda could change the narrative with a fully electric Rebel. Lightweight, affordable, with real-world range and a name that carries weight. The first mass-market electric cruiser wouldn't come from Harley or Indian. It could come from the same company that already broke the pricing model, and if they can electrify without compromising design or comfort, they could dominate the next chapter of motorcycle evolution. But beyond products, Honda may also double down on exports. Manufacturing in Mexico or Thailand and then funneling affordable models into North America could undercut local competitors even further. Harley and Indian can't match that scale. Their production is centralized, inflexible, and expensive. Honda's isn't. These strategies aren't speculation. They're aligned with Honda's proven global behavior in other vehicle segments. What we're seeing isn't a lucky product cycle. It's a coordinated repositioning of Honda as not just a contender, but the anchor of the cruiser market's next era. So let's be clear, the cruiser market didn't collapse. It was rebuilt, and Honda wrote the blueprint. Honda's move wasn't just a product release, it was a blueprint for the future. Like, subscribe, and comment below to stay in the loop and see what happens next in the world of motorcycling.